Hey chefs, Chef Jamie here. Welcome to the very first Chef Launch training. And I basically wanted to jump in because this industry has been around since 1990, was when it was first seen as being a business opportunity, because before that it was just private chef. Now we're in the industry of personal chef and meal delivery and all of the rest of it. But in that time, from 1990 up until now, coming to the end of 2025, the industry has not changed. Everyone is pretty much offering it in exactly the same way, apart from back then, it was the menu was written, you go to do the cook for next week, you're showing them the menu. Now we go and do the cook, and then we email them the menu and say, what do you want? What are the modifications? But it hasn't actually changed. But what I do want to stress today, this is called like pushing boundaries or pushing the service, is not actually pushing the service in the marketing sense. I want to focus on pushing the service as in what you can actually do with it. Because so many people are offering it in exactly the same way. And I tried to come up with different ways to offer my service so I could hit different price points. So what I did is, the standard is you're going to have X amount of meals, they're customized, and my standard was people could order whatever they wanted, right? So I had a menu, there was over 200 items on that menu, and then I would cook those items for them to their dietary requirements, right? So that was my key offer, and that was here, right? So that would be my core, okay? That was my core offer. And that is kind of the price point that most of you are looking at. My average cook was $315, but I like to just say $250, because then we can say 4 weeks in the year, and then we get to our 1,000, right? So that should be around 12K a year. If you're working every single week, not taking any holidays, is actually 13,000, but that would be my core offer. But what I want you to think about is, how much could you actually charge? Like, that's the normal amount. But if you could come up with a different service, could you charge more than that? Or could you charge less than that? Because this is what you can do in the client's house. That is where you want to be, because you don't want to reduce it to make it super easy, where you have to consider the time that you're going to the client's house and all of that stuff. So you don't want to be making it a $99 cook when you've got to drive for 45 minutes across town to get to the house. So you want to make it worthwhile. But if you were to move it into a commercial space, not necessarily full time, but maybe 1 day a week, could you change the way that you offer your service? So I actually had it where I could downsell them, right? Where I had it as a set menu, and then they were still allowed to modify, but it was reduced and it was much easier. And because it was so limited, I could basically say it wasn't to the point where I would remove onion because they're on the FODMAP diet to just cook that dish for them. If that was the case, then it had to be in this offer. But maybe it could be like, oh, you're doing a curry and basically you're not going to put any coriander on that one. And there was still the simple modification. You're still selling that personal chef service, because personal is not being personal with them. It's about personalizing their meals. So we're still doing that, but we've got the core offer there. And then maybe you could actually have a premium offer up here, because this is where the real money was. I had clients that were between 6 and 8K as single clients. But if you think about that, that is still cheaper than having a private chef. I think most private chefs now are going to be around the 150K mark. But if you can get away with that, they can get you for 100K. So they're saving themselves 50k. But what's great about it for you is you can have 5 of these people at this amount. This is 80, what's that, 96? That puts you 5 clients, that puts you on $500,000 a year, cooking for 5 people. Happy days. Plus, you might want to eliminate this after because it is completely not worthwhile. But think about actually how many levels or what you can do to actually attract these people if that's something that you're into, because it's kind of a missed opportunity. If you can actually say, right, what can I do? Right, that's my core offer. So here's my core, and that is 5 mains, like five meals, right? With the sides, vegetables, whatever. So maybe you could say, okay, for these people, I could go, right, I can customize everything, and I can do, I can't even spell, customize to a further degree than this. This could be like you're just doing your standard customization. For these people, I would actually, I had one client that was with the doctor of the Kardashians, and he came up with a special diet for my client. So I had to follow that with the macros and everything very precisely. And it used to take me a super long time to do. So they had to be in full customization. Then I would add stuff in like fruit platters, so they could just go to the fridge and grab fruit for the day. Maybe it's fruit cups, maybe it's cups that they could throw through the juicer or the blender, that kind of thing. They can pull it out the freezer, throw it in. So you're making a complete package for these people where you're actually competing with having a private chef, and you're not as expensive as the private chef, but you have more clients. So you're money-wise, you're crushing it, because if you did this correctly, you would only need to work 2 or 3 days a week, because these people were most likely going to have 1 cook per week. Whereas these people, for that kind of money, they would want a delivery 2 or 3 times a week, maybe, you know? So you could end up working 3 days a week, making just short of $500,000 a year, and only got 5 clients. When you reduce the amount of clients you have less of a headache. Going to the lower option that I had, I found that you've got all these clients, but because you're offering customization, so you're still more expensive than a normal packet meal, they expect things from you that you probably don't really want to give. So I found these people are just like, mate, if they've got 6 to 8 grand to dump on you to prepare their meals, that doesn't include food costs, that's just service cost, then generally these people are not back and forth with you to see what they can get, because they're making money, they're living their life, they're pushing their business where they want it to go. So they're actually in or out, you know. If they actually don't want to do the service anymore, then they just cancel and they move on, you know. They're not going to be like, oh, if playing around with the small things that these people generally are. So really think about, what can you offer someone to make a ridiculous service that they would just love without boundaries? Like, don't think about money, just think, oh, can I throw in, you can have 1 event for 100 people a year, you can have this and this and this, and then just say, is that viable? Right, you're going to have an event for your birthday coming up this year, you're going to have a dinner party, you're going to have your meal prep, you're going to have fruit platters, you're going to have juice extractions that you can just get done. Like, what things can you like bulk onto it to, maybe it's like, even when you're doing the shopping, you just shop for the rest of the house. Who knows? Like, write it all down, see what you can come up with, and just try and create an amazing service for them that they would actually really enjoy, really value, and it's going to be good for you in the future. Afterwards, once you've got all the ideas down, you go through them, rank them, and go, that will be way too much work. Remove that. That will be not enough for them. They won't see the value in it. But write everything down and then take it from there. Because when you actually start pushing out what you can offer your clients, you can really ramp up the money, because it's not about how much time you're working, it's about how much value you can provide them. And if they never have to go to the store again, maybe that's going to save them 100 hours through the year. And for them, paying you 80 grand a year, that might be enough for them, because it's not about the money. People are making insane amounts of money these days, so there is no cap on what you can charge, but you have to think about where you can push your business. So that is my thought of the day. I hope you take the time to actually think about what you can do, because this was a big turning point for me, because I had one client 1 year who did $28,000 in 1 month with me, and it was just him and his wife. So there's big movement to be made in this, and you should consider it. All right.